Hello and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for episode 20. Woo, we are at episode 20 of season 5 of Black Writers Read. My name is Nicole Young Martin, and I'm the founder, producer, and host for this series. Happy National Poetry Month. For those who don't know, poetry was my beginning to scribe my story to the page. While writing has flourished for me here in New England, I actually wrote my first poem in third grade, which won an award. I wish I could remember the name of the poem and of the accolade. I just remember getting the poem together and winning the award in third grade. And then I've returned to poetry since my adulthood. I'm beyond excited to host today's guest. You may already be familiar with her work as she's done a lot throughout the Northeast, across multiple states. She was a featured writer during last year's bonus episode about the anthology Heavy is the Crown, which was published by A Queen's Narrative and edited by me, yours truly. And she is a sought-after workshop facilitator, keynote speaker, and educator. She also collaborates regularly with Tashala Williams, who we hosted earlier this year, with one of those platforms being Hartford's Lit. I've also been on her show, so it means a lot to finally welcome her here to Black Writers Read. So let's go ahead and get tonight's conversation started. Black Writers Read showcases, celebrates, and honors the words, work, and traditions of Black writers from across the country, across genres, across experiences, and across the African diaspora. Black Writers Read is a behind-the-scenes conversation into the craft and what it means to create as a Black author in today's society. Since starting the series during the summer 2020, we've hosted over 80 authors representing over 15 genres from 5 countries and 24 states. Our platform includes the live stream interviews, audio podcasts, book clubs, and curriculum development assistance. Find us online at blackwritersread.com. Today, we welcome my neighbor, well, even physically because she lives a couple of towns over, Nzima Hutchings. Nzima Hutchings is the 2023-2025 Poet Laureate for Enfield, Connecticut. Nzima is a 2-time best-selling author for Every Kinda Lady and Her Sister Pages anthology series, along with being an award-winning poetess for her work published in the Freshwater Poetry Journal. Her expansive body of work includes Connect and Align to Heal, published in 2024, Belly Screams, Flowers and Holes, and My Color Purple Voice, published in 2023, and Blue, Black, and Brown Beautiful, released in 2022. She is the visionary, co-founder, and CEO of Hartford's Lit, the annual Hartford Book Festival, and Every Kinda Lady LLC. Nzima curates and hosts Nzima's Poetry Café show, a television show on Cox Public Access Studios that airs in Connecticut and Longmeadow, Massachusetts. That's the show that I was on sometime last year. Nzima serves on several boards of directors, including for the Enfield Cultural Art Commissions, Ujima African American, and A Queen's Narrative. She has taught high school social justice through art of spoken word at the Hartford Arts Academy in partnership with the Act Up Arts Theatre and Bulkeley High School in Hartford, Connecticut. She has presented, performed, and directed symposia on healing, women empowerment, cultural art inclusion, poetry, and journaling workshops for Trinity Health of New England, St. Francis Hospital Family Advocacy Center, Connecticut Alliance to End Sexual Violence, Asnuntuck Community College, Wharf Theatre, Nuyorican Poets Café, Our Piece of the Pie, Barnes & Noble, Massachusetts Women of Color, Toivo Meditation Wellness Center, and Mount Holyoke College. Nzima also hosted annual literary art wellness weekend retreat where women are invited to stay in log cabins and participate in writing for wellness workshops and other recreational activities. She's trying to get me to go one year, and hopefully we'll talk about this, but they also do so many beautiful things outside, including howling at the moon. So I hope we get to talk about that today. Recently, Nzima was selected to be a judge at Yale University's annual MLK Poetry Slam. Her mission and her company's work includes strengthening women and teen girls' uninhibited voices from all backgrounds, practicing whole person wellness, advocating and offering emotional equity access to women of color, as well as providing empowering literary productions, workshops, publications, guidance, and diverse platforms for all women to practice active acceptance. As you just heard, these are reasons why I have been so excited and waiting to host her on Black Writers Read during National Poetry Month. For those who are new to Black Writers Read, here's the format of our show. Nzima will first share excerpts from her work. We'll then chat about her body of work. If time remains at the end of the conversation, we'll open up to question and answer. For those of you who are joining us today, we typically have viewers from Facebook and YouTube. If you have a question, please feel free to include it in the comment section on the platform where you're joining us from today. I will compile the questions and either pose them to our guests following our conversation or insert them during an appropriate time within our chat. I'd now like to welcome Nzima back to the Black Writers Read virtual stage. Hello.
Hello. Oh my goodness. What an entrance, like an intro welcoming. I'm just like, what? Who that girl?
You did all, girl, you did all that. You did all that.
You know what? Thank you. I am honored to be on your show, Nicole. This is an honor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you so much because we talked about this a while ago. Thank you so much for being on National Poetry Month, which I'm curious, when does your Poet Laureate term end?
Well, it ends in June of this year. However, there's an opportunity to extend if I put in my application and put myself out there and say, I'd like to extend this for one more year. There's always an opportunity. I just would need to write a proposal and state why, or take a break because it is a lot of work to serve. You're not just wearing a label because you're this god of poets or whatever. So actually it ends this year. I'm thinking about it. I'm on the fence. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking about maybe putting myself out there another term. However, I might just give the torch to someone else.
Yes. And see, this is what I mean by she's everywhere. So just literally within this past weekend, Nzima, I've seen social media posts about events that you're doing in the current month about 7 or 8 times, including one that you did on Saturday. And I'm like, oh, I know you have a new family member, new grandchild on, and I'm like, when does this woman sleep?
I know, I don't. I tell you, I have to say I am humbled and honored and grateful that I am able to be in spaces and I'm able to slide in and do what I do. Currently that's my biggest hustle. Like not a hustle, but that's my thing. I made a pledge to myself. I said, you will do what you want to do. You will bleed on paper, you will write, you will become this literary artist, not only in name but in life. You will breathe, eat, and pay your bills with it. So that's what I've been doing. So when you see me over here, you see me over there, that's what I'm doing. I'm paying my bills. The lights stay on.
And for folks who are joining us today, I actually have a couple of questions for Nzima after she reads about a couple of things, including writing rituals, her work in the community, and also too about her writing room, which is where she's joining us from today.
Yes. So my writing rituals,
which we'll get to after you read. So are you ready to read?
Yes.
So I will see you in a bit. And as I promised, I will keep time for you.
Thank you. Yes, please do. So as she said, my name is Nzima Hutchings, and I am the Enfield Connecticut Poet Laureate, as well as the Connecticut Council of Poet Laureates. So I serve in the Northern Region as a Northern Region representative. I'm excited to be here on Nicole's show, and I'm just going to just dive in, and I am going to just share a variety of styles of poetry. Some will be somber, some will be, rah, 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 and some will be cheeky. Just enjoy the ride, and I hope you stay with me for a while and just have fun. I would like to open up with a poem called Did You Know? Did you know? Did you know that all the brown boys and girls, did you know that all the brown boys and girls of the world carry a special glow? A resilient shine. is a child of the divine. Did you know? And there is nothing poetical, sexy, beneficial, or moral about abusing them, exploiting them. I just think the world should know. That was an interlude. My staple poem is Every Kinda Lady. Constancy. Constancy is an unfair brand of a lady. See, I think that I've been, well, every kind of lady. Her and her and her too. The kind that I didn't understand. The kind that I grieved. The kind that I feared. See, I think that I've been every kind of lady. The kind that I didn't understand, feared, envied, yet I revered. The kind that I might have shamed or wouldn't claim. The kind of lady that I gotta be. Even that girl. Her and her and her too. Yes, even that kind. The kind that I couldn't stand or even forgive. The kind of lady that both lived and survived. The kind of lady that I pray heavily to be. The kind of lady that, well, I gotta be. Yes, every kind, even she. So when I share that poem, it come out different every time. Even I mix up the words in different places depending on how I feel. The staple poem, if you was to read the Every Kind of Lady poetry and monologues book, you will know that the pieces land differently or is read or has been written differently. However, this piece is so close to me. It is the name of my company, the Every Kind of Lady Company, because I believe that I've been every kind of lady. And as Nicole mentioned, that a bulk of my work speaks to every kind of lady, and it's about active acceptance. So we women wear many hats, and I've worn many hats in my lifetime. So through the body of my work, you will hear that. The next poem that I would like to share with you all, it is called Another Time. Another time. I need you to shake loose my skin. I need you to shake loose my skin. I've done stretched and played with the living. I found my arms to be long, long enough for more. Long enough for more, hands on time. I can't stop living now. Skins of life are in bed with me now. I got stones packed in my gut, filling up the holes and my cries. To stop the dying inside, see, my ass is getting heavy and a bit saggy. Leave me be. Not ready to die. Not ready to die at this time. I am a literary art wellness coach and artist advocate, and I oftentimes I write pieces that speak to people who are suffering from different trauma situations. One would be suicide. Phoenix. We risk being reborn from ashes. We risk to glide in midair, to swirl around like copper crimson colored faded leaves falling from black oaks. We risk to conspire with God and our ancestors' hopes, to carry us, to lift us, all of us, to continue on, to gather, to string our intended gifts, to own what's needed, to eat, to nest, to set the fire. As the warmth hit our skins, to move, shift all trepidations. We risk being made over, to mold ourselves like clay, to give us wings, the wings of the phoenix, to find our way, our why, and fly. I was inspired to read this piece today because I had an opportunity to read some poetry for the nonprofit organization I Am Woman too. And the penning was the phoenix bird. And oftentimes we find ourselves in spaces where we just need to be burned down to ashes, to be remade over, and phoenix-like fly it, right? Cornbread easy. So, like I said, every kind of lady have every kind of hat. And so you will find the energy will flow and will change. The blackness of her neck bend, her two-stepping, the glow of her Brazilian nut cocoa bean brown shine, her divine curves, mom-bearing hips, thickness. The blackness in her jump back, snap up, step up in your face about hers, thick-lipped and empathetic antics. The blackness in her cornbread with extra sugar, collard greens, and frank red hot sauce. The blackness on how she learned to burn beans, George and Wheezy in it, on the grill, holding love like Ruby D and Ozzy, fed the children, paid the light bill, rocked well, Norman's Rockwell's allegorical painting, the original Rosie the Riveter, model crown and fro wrapped in her, I do what I gotta do, managing it to make it look easy, cornbread easy. Poem. I have this poem that I call Sunflower Alice. So I have many nicknames. And one of my nicknames is Alice. And so I thought it was fun. Someone challenged me to write a poem about Alice. And I have many poems about Alice, but today I will read Sunflower Alice. I'm the flower child, running wild, legs flapping like a butterfly in the wind, desperate arms wraps around smiles like vagina walls to a penis, like newborn lips to a tit. Spirit be in a clitoris, pink yet running with wolves. A full-grown lotus floating on east waters under red moons and blue, magenta, and purple skies. Open wide to endless possibilities, births and fuckings. Spine like sunflower stems, stern sometimes. Soul plays touch and go with old, autographing my name in black oaks, appling my high cheekbones and melodious and sepia tones. I make short stories long. It be free like flat-chested girls wanting breasts, littered with unrest, unafraid of unknowing fate. Fragility fashions my footwear, rooting itself deep, tacky socks too. So I grow my locks to my torso, swaying, hanging like willow trees, dainty dangling limbs long, so nobody knows when I'm weeping. It be sunflower petals yellow, flooded eyelashes and lids, crying over rainbows. Poem. And I will just keep going. The next poem.
Time check. If you wanted to do like maybe 2 more.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. I
Thank
hope
you.
you guys are enjoying it.
We are, especially me, which I have a question that I'm going to add because of your work.
Okay, great. And a lot of these pieces are coming from my book, The Belly Screams, Flowers and Holes, one of my latest publications. And this one is called Smiling in the Flesh. Imagine that, smiling in the flesh. I mean, that can just go all kinds of ways. We smiled with fire in our bellies. We brave fear and what we shouldn't brave. We even led ourselves to our needs and eventual undoings. We touched our whole flesh selves fluidly. Silken skins and dark shadows and cracked windows, tucking our kisses away under light and secrets. We taught our tongues to crave, to twist, bend, and wait. We floated our truths like moths to a flame, like she-wolves howling under cardinal-colored moons. We laughed, we laughed uncaring, uncaring out loud from our toes. We cried tears on our shoulders. We exchanged flowers. We exchanged flowers. We loved each other and risked together. No, we have to one day, let go and hurt each other. Poem. And the last poem I think I will read, I actually is a new poem, and I wrote it. Again, I was presenting at the I Am Woman 2, and because I do a lot of work with different organizations, I like to custom some pieces. And I think this speaks volumes to women who have lived long enough to experience different things in their lifetimes. So this is called She Rise, Phoenix and Butterfly. She rises like a phoenix out of ash, reborn, renamed, and redo, and fly with herself. Butterflies are her decor and declarations, fluttering, lining the dash of her timeline, like seeds that crack mid-earth, rooting and grounding and grounding and rooting and reaching for the sky. Divine. She blooms in the places they told her she'd die. Her spirit be the boots. Forget the song. Her spirit be the boots on the ground. Her soul be the fan giving air. The soft places to land, the rebound. She rises to receive the rewards. She did not fold, submit, or commit suicide. Maybe a thought, maybe a try, but overcame that. She is here, she is there. She is here, and she is there. She is here standing and rising and climbing ladders beyond epithets, beyond regrets, beyond the noose of abuse, beyond incarceration, addiction, grief, and labels, beyond limitations, homelessness, stagnation, sickness, divorce, fires, feeling less. She's risen through the course, risen to rewrite what has been written, moving with, leaning in, sitting with, and above parts of her story, yet embracing her worth. For that, we must give God the glory. We must all rise and clap for her. Thank you.
Let's make sure to clap for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was amazing. So I've already spent some time with your work as editor last year, but this is my first time really living with your work. And one of the question that I came up with while listening to you're very much a contemporary of Sonia Sanchez, Tonya K. Bambara, and Gwendolyn
Ooh.
Brooks. I heard all three of
Yes.
them in your words. So I'm curious, who inspires you in terms of writers?
Well, because you said Sonia Sanchez, I have to say you hit the nail on the hammer. Yes.
Yes.
She has this rhythmic, jazz, smooth voice.
Mhm.
I love poets that layer our energy, write like Zora Neale Hurston would write if she was writing poetry. Zora Neale Hurston would write the anthropological tones and our narratives. And so I love to, I would have to say Sonia Sanchez, Ntishaki Shange. I love Ntishaki Shange. I love Patricia Smith. I love, is this book called This Bridge Called My Back? Funny quick story. This Bridge Called My Back. Is a whole anthology that I fell in love with. And I found out that the person who wrote the bridge actually is related in my DNA somewhere. And and I just, I don't want to name drops or anything like that, but let me tell you something. I was just like, what? And freaking all the way out. And so, reading poetry, writing poetry, but also prose, and I love books, and so Toni Morrison, to me, she's a poet. Octavia Butler, to me, is a poet. She's like a poet. So those are places where what inspired me in my words.
Yeah, because it definitely, and I'm glad you mentioned This Bridge Called My Back, because I hear a lot of Black arts movement, Gloria Anzaldúa, I hear all of that. So it's like conjuring of the ancestors. I'm like, yeah.
Yes. I have to say, I have fun reading today, and I did not know where I was going to go. And I anytime you're invited to read, you say to yourself, what pieces will I read? What would showcase me? There's a idea of who's your audience. You have the phantom audience, especially if you're doing it virtual. But then you say Black readers, Black writers. Okay.
Yeah, and the audience here, which is vast. I recently checked my stats, and then you may hear my co-host in the back. One of my co-hosts, Naomi,
Hi,
the beagle in the background. It's Naomi. I recently checked my stats. I teach an arts marketing class, and I use my podcast as tribute in terms of understanding metrics. And I was showing them the places that listen to me the most, and it really surprised me because I'm based in New England. And I started here in New England. I have people as far as, let's see, I have a large base in California, Texas. Florida is not surprising, and LA is not surprising because I've had a lot of writers on from those couple of places. Portugal is very surprising, and there was one more. There was another country in Europe. I was very surprised to see the podcast go that far.
Look at you! Well, because you got a good podcast.
Thank you. That means a lot, because I'm just like, how do I keep growing this? Because I'm doing this by myself, and I'm like, am I really meeting numbers? But at the same time, I'm like, the conversations have just been so rich and so beautiful, to where I'm like, even if no one listens to this, I, as a writer, gain a lot from these conversations. So I'm very grateful to every single person who has been on, every single person, which I want to also shout out. I have a guest consideration form. I'm starting to book season 6 now. So folks who
Okay.
have inquired, please be patient with me. I will be getting back to you soon. I have a couple of folks who reached out to me about next season, and I promise that I will book you. And then for this season, that's right, I'm going to have someone on from the UK in a couple of weeks. So I'm like really excited.
Look at you. Look at you. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So let's get the conversation started. So I want to ask you, especially given that I met you as a writer first. When did you discover your voice as a writer? And then when did you first put pen to paper?
Okay, so I'm going to answer the question in reverse. So the first time I put pen to paper, I was at elementary school, and there was this Macbeth play, and that was the prize to win. I've never been to a play before, and actually it was elementary school, it was junior high, and there was a writing contest. And so I entered, and I was first place, and
Nice.
and so I was like, oh, so you sort of feel validated. But along with that, the Dear Diary days, my parents get on my blasted nerves, and I wrote and I wrote like, all my feelings down, and then I made it rhyme. And poetry don't have to rhyme, but that's where I was as a child. But my voice, I will have to say late. I think I did a lot of living and a lot of reading, and I have to say probably in maybe 2007, 8, I started to write in the way of and being in love with certain authors. So, and I think that yes, I feel like my computer says low battery. So
Yes.
I'm like, why is it saying low battery? I need to run and get a charger.
Yes. If you want to do that, I will do some housekeeping here to make sure keeping the audience engaged, because I don't.
Yes, do some housekeeping, and
Yay.
ask them for feedback. Tell them to plug it in the chat. Oh, that would be great. This never happens. So like, why now? But this life,
Yes.
I got the Unk earrings. This is life. So I'll be right back. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which for folks who have been following me for some time, y'all know this is a space for writers and also for like writing enthusiasts and readers. And so, and given especially that I'm in my home, trying to do it similarly to what we were doing during the pandemic lockdown, because we are still in a pandemic. COVID is still a thing. Y'all know I am very much about authenticity. I don't like a lot of stage things. And speaking of non-stage things, I'm so happy, I won't name them here, but I'm so happy that many of my favorite journalists, excuse me, have now gone to being in their home studios and things like that. So I'm going to take a quick drink break, because for those who have been I'm still dealing with a cough, which this is like everlasting. Oh, and many of y'all are still hanging with me. I also want to like quickly, excuse me, talk about the rest of the season. So, oh, she's back. So before I bring Nzima back, I'm in the process of wrapping up season 5. Season 5 will end on June 19th, which I believe is a Thursday this year. So I think I have 7 or 8 more sets of guests lined up. So I'm excited to present to you that platform. So I'm going to bring Nzima back.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for that. And I had a chance to listen to everything you're doing. I love your organization. The fact that you are booked out, and organized like that, I'm like, oh my gosh. So with my poetry cafe show, I tell you, I'm months ahead of the game, but you just seem so organized and so like
I wish you could see my desk and my email right now. I'm not organized. I'm actually blessed in that since Black Writers Read started, So the first couple of years I was reaching out to friends and had friends refer me. Then I made some amazing connections via, and I'm going to shout them out, the Emily Dickinson Museum. I did an event with excuse me, Michael Mercurio, Enzo Salon Seren, who's been on, and Lisa Pegram, who's my writing coach, and a couple of other folks. That's kind of where it kind of like grew even bigger. They're all connected. They all went to Lesley University's MFA program, and that kind of launched a whole other like rendition of Black Writers Read that exposed me to, I get requests now from literary publicists, agents, managers. I've gotten, I don't know how many galley copies of things to read. And so now what's really cool is that I have so many people coming to me where I'm like, I want to find a space for you. I want to find a space for you. And so I end up booking the season almost a year out because I've had so many people come, like the people who contacted me recently. They're like, we have a book coming out April, May. And I'm like, I know it's really important for me to have you on now, but can you actually wait until season 6? Because unfortunately, the bandwidth, because it's just me. But also too, right now I'm at episode 20, and typically Black Writers Read, we only do 18 episodes. And so this season, I believe we're going to have almost 30, which is a first.
Wow,
so,
look at you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Amazing. Simply. Okay. Okay.
So the next question I have for you, speaking of expansive work. So you have a large body of work, which I want to let folks know. You can purchase her work on Amazon. I would love for you to share with us about your writing life, because this is one of the conversations you and I had first when we first met for coffee, which I wish I had an opportunity, because when I was on your show, you hooked me up with coffee. I wish I could do the same for you right now.
No, this is fine. You hooked me up in my writings room. So thank you for that question. The writer's life. You know, I think a writer's life need a writer's tribe, a writer's space, a favorite pen. So like I said, I am in my writing room, and I find that my whole family is in agreement that this is my writing room and that they should let me have it, and I name it as such. I think you have to name the space. You have to gather everything in your environment to create spaces that feel that it's going to help you be productive. Oftentimes I'm like, oh, okay, I'm cold. The rest of the house is cold. So I have like a little heater. So I need to have like my chunky socks. I have to have my heater. I have to have my favorite mug. And I have, it has to be my favorite mug. Okay. So my writer's life has been one that I protect. And I get a lot of writing done here. I have a chalkboard. I have my poetry in the wall. I have my wolf on the wall. I don't know if you see all of that, but I'm a she wolf. So I have to have all the different things. My wall is yellow. That's my healing space. I often tell people, yellow represent my daughter. She passed away, and I've been painting walls yellows, growing yellow gardens, and writing yellow books, and so that helps me to get what I need in that space. So yeah, I've written a lot in this area. One thing I would like to say about creating a writing room, you don't invite bills, you don't invite other stuff, you don't treat it like an office. If you are a messy person and love chaos and you just know where everything is, let that be your space. Be the eclectic, eccentric, wild person in your space. Let whatever you need to do pour out of you in that space. It have to, so. Yeah.
I've been waiting to ask you the question about the writing life, because I love that you've been able to do something that many of us dream of doing. I don't know how many like tarot decks I have here, and like my prayer box about the writing life, making sure that I actually schedule time to write, but more importantly, that writing is my life. It's not writing is a part of it. It's writing is my life. And I love that writing has become your life. And
Yes.
so this takes me to the next question too. So your work is deeply personal. Like, for example, the poem that you shared with us when we talked about the Queen's narrative, Heavy as the Crown, last year, very heavy and also just deeply, deeply personal. Can you talk about and you shared with us as you were reading, so like suicidality has come up in your work, loving yourself has come up, self-care, community. So can you talk about some of the other themes that show up in your work and why it's important to you to capture and illustrate these experiences through your words?
Yes, so a lot of things outside of suicidal ideation, grief, because that became part of me. I am also a suicidal, I'm an alternative suicide counselor. So I work with people and I am a peer. I face feeling those feelings when I lost my daughter. And so I wrote a lot of grief poems and a lot of pieces that speak to overcoming that and finding tools to heal and work with, to lean and sit with, and studying and for personal and professional experiences so I could be a trauma-informed advocate. And so I write other things for women themes, and like our stories, ancestors and grandma hands. And I also write stories, love stories. I love love stories. I am a hopeless romantic. Like, I am the one who will will travel somewhere and collect dirt. People, they will, and I will put dirt in a mason jar because I dug my foot, in that space of the earth, and I felt it was something important to keep. And so I will write about that. I write mermaid stories, but I like, I do. I have mermaid because I am a mermaid. Tell people, I say I'm a mermaid. And you have to understand that. And my mermaid name is NZ. So I have some NZ stories. And so a lot of my stories come from the inner self. I sit with myself. I do a lot of reflection. I do a lot of facilitating morning pages. You mentioned earlier about the Literary Art Wellness Retreat, and where I bring dozens of women camping in log cabins, and they're like, "Oh my God, how'd you get me out here?" We were on bonfires and we crying, howling to the wolves, and we writing everything on paper, but we do it. But there's canoeing and jacuzzis too. But
Yes, that's where
we have to glamp. Yes, but yeah. So my audience probably, I have to say, is everybody, because I'm pulling from all the emotions: love, happiness, heartbreak, loss, just authenticity, owning narratives, and just speaking truth. People, they sit and they understand authenticity, and I have to showcase where I'm bleeding from, what wound, how am I bleeding, where is it coming from. And so I am able to work with that. And then I have the political tongue, the rah rah rah, don't mess with me voice, and I like structure forms and prose and stuff, murder mysteries, sex and violence. I love sex and violence. I don't know, I have to put it out there. I do. I am a hands may tell crazy person. Like I love.
Did you just read my mind? Because I was just about to mention, when you mentioned like murder mysteries, all this stuff. So which my husband's watching it right now in the background, and I'm kind of mad that he's more caught up than I am. We actually started watching The Handmaid's Tale like a couple of weeks ago, which I'm like, why are we watching it right now given the current political climate? And right. But the thing is, it's like, it's so dark, but the writing is so tight.
Ooh, it's so tight. Atwood, she is a beast. She is a beast. I love her. I said, so a lot of reading helps with writing. I mean, you may not get all your subject and verb agreements correct, or but I have to say that just the level of transportation, transformation, and worlds that we create, like my mind run all the time. Like I will sit in the space, people are like, what you think about? I'm like, oh, I'm listening. But my mind just went to when I was creating the whole world. Dystopian. You know, they're like, there she go, there's Alice. I'm like, it's okay. I accept that.
Yes, which I still need to start that other podcast where I talk with writers about the worlds that we currently exist in. Because of course, I, as an educator, and I know you too, we can like lean into the socio-political, socio-economic, socio-cultural all the time. And it's like one other author that I feel like, because we have Margaret Atwood, who I think really predicted, I hate to say this because I hope A Handmaid's Tale does not come to life.
Oh my, could you imagine that?
Oh,
like
ooh.
And we will be caught because we don't have babies. We would be on the wrong side of the world.
Yeah, ooh. And then as I'm looking at her books right now on my shelf, I have so I have multiple versions of Parable of the Sower. One of them I'm looking at right now. One of my besties,
Octavia Butler.
Yep, Courtney got me the graphic novel. I haven't started reading it yet, but Octavia Butler, another one who was able to forecast, and she left this plane really early in life. And so I'm just like, and this segues really nicely into the next question, but it's like, as women, especially as Black women, and writing, I don't even know if this is a question, but it's like a thing to think about. Writing about dystopians, like that is something, and those worlds, which someone just made a comment in the chat that I have to call out because she's also involved in the Heavy as a Crown anthology. So I hope she doesn't mind that I call her out in a couple of seconds. But it's like, I'm thinking about the 92% and all of the work that we did as the 92%. And then I got my Black Girl Magic mug. My apologies, I can't remember her full name, Vashti. She's a visual artist. And it's like, we always do the work. And so it's like, to write about dystopia, it means that we have to do some more work. And I'm like, okay, as a genre, as women, because we exist in dangerous binaries and we always have the microscope on us in a very particular way, do we owe it to ourselves and to our communities to be writing dystopians?
Well, see, I think, okay, so you mentioned, you touched on a bit of having that responsibility or carrying the weight. Like the person says, well, and it was basically, I know that Sonia Sanchez speak to, it is our responsibility, if we're going to be literary artists, that we carry that torch. We have to use our voice to, to impact, make change, and to speak about, and to, say what needs to be said, even if we have to create worlds and things like that. For me, I do it with mermaids. Like I have a mermaid in this book, plug. But one of my mermaids, she, like, it was all about, we talked about the whole Orishas, the Oshun, and the Greek goddesses, and I mean a whole bunch of different, the Yimiya, and when she lose her big natural hair, how powerful she is, and how she take over the world, and with just her hair for a few days, and she was whispered in her ears of her powers, and she didn't know her beauty, but how carrying the power of story, the power of hand-me-downs, the good, bad, and the ugly, the cautionary tales, and to weave that into worlds, and to forecast what may happen, what we, to talk about what we see, what is happening. Like people are clutching their purses. People are saying, well, I don't know, should I do this or not, because this is what's happening. Will we become? Will we? Would it be a apocalypse, type world? I mean. Anyways, you got me. I'll go on a tangent. Alice is here, so let me.
You said Alice is here. I need to do a whole interview with Alice. Be like, let's talk offline so I can book Alice.
Yes. She is here. I was warned. I was talking to someone earlier today, said, look, don't bring Alice out.
Yes! Be like, no, we gonna do I'm gonna need to do a whole interview with Alice, y'all. Y'all better get ready. So before I segue into the next question, which the thing about dystopians and building worlds and all these things, and like responding to, is a great segue into this. So a person that is in the chat, I have to shout them out. One, because they are in the Heavy is the Crown anthology, which you've also heard from her last year. And two, she shouts you out. Barbara McLean. So Barbara McLean is an author, and Nzima was her book coach on her memoir. So folks, if you can, like, please purchase Blessed Not Better, the Barbara McLean Journey, which is available on Amazon, and then invite her to come speak, because she actually came. I think this might be the first time Barbara's hearing this. So Barbara came and spoke to some of my students at one of the places that I teach, and our program director and our students still speak highly of the time that you spent with them. So thank you.
Boss.
Yes. And this is what I mean by, and I think all of the authors on Black Writers Read have done this. It's like we write, and then the work translates in a very beautiful way in the community. Like we make ourselves available in so many vessels to educate. Like we do. But I also think, again, it's like women of color, especially, I feel like we are looked to always to do the work. So, but at the same time, I feel like we need to, because our communities are the ones that are like, the resources are purposefully taken away and purposefully made unavailable. So it's kind of like,
I like, and I'm gonna double back a couple things. So shout out to Barbara McLean, Blessed Not Bitter. I love her to pieces. Her book is powerful. It was a wonderful opportunity, and she is the visionary and founder of I Am Woman Too, where I mentioned about the Phoenix. So it is a very impactful and heavy-weighted book. But I wanted to say, the responsibility that we carry, I think it was this. There's a title of a book that says, must Black girls die exhausted? Must we die exhausted? Like, must we die exhausted? Like, and I'm thinking to myself, well, how are we going to continue to keep doing the work for other people to not listen? Are we going to keep doing the work? Or are we just going to do our own work? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we keep saying, I told you so, but look at you. Are you making the suits? Because, you don't find those triangle hat suits at tag sales, and you wonder who's sewing them and knitting them, and where's the company that's making them, and whatever's happening with what we talk about ourselves as women, about our anatomy, about rights, and I was telling someone that I changed my name to Nzima. My name means whole, WHOLE. It is an affirmation. I like to hear my name. I like to hear that, yes, I'm being whole. So, but it was 2012. It was 2012 when I went to change my name. I needed permission from my husband, not my last name. So, we think about doing the work, as writers, creatives, or holding space, an office, or having a voice and making real, true impact to something tangible. We must ask ourselves, are we going to die exhausted trying to save the world? Like, will my tit be the milk of the earth, continue to be the milk of the earth? Will my breast be the black tea forever?
Oh, is that a poem? Are you starting a poem?
I do. I have it. It's in my it's in my book. And I'm talking about black teas in my book called Poetry Cafe Spiel. It's a shame I got so many books I have to say. What's the name of the title? The Poetry Cafe Spiel. Black
Yes.
tea. But so you had another question. Someone popped something in the chat. Was someone that was part of?
Oh, it wasn't a question. They were just like comments
Okay.
and accolades that I
Okay.
wanted to share.
Okay.
But I do, and I think this will help us continue the conversation. Prior to having our guests on Black Writers Read, we ask each of them why they write. Here's what you offered. I use writing as a way to self-care, heal, create worlds again, that runs around in my head and to build my literary art legacy. Being an author at this time gives me power to tell my truth, find my voice, and from my perspective. More importantly, it is important to own my narrative. So, as a Black woman author, which is like a heavy yet beautiful title to carry, particularly writing poetry and prose, what are some advantages and what are some advantages and challenges in writing in these genres, especially during these times? And what storytelling possibilities and pitfalls exist within these two genres?
Okay. So the advantages is that, when I think about the word gratitude, years ago, we was in a space where our writing wasn't respected. I think about Toni Morrison when she speak about the white gaze, the gaze, the eyes, the white lens, and being able to be in that space to write our narratives from our perspective, from our own lens, to have my voice, to have the ability to do so. So it's important that we do as much as possible. Like everybody need to be writing. The disadvantage I find often is that so I am Amherst writer and artist, certified facilitator, writing workshop facilitator and affiliate, and I would host writing workshops. And when I put BIPOC or brown or do something like that, I realize, and even if the price is low or free or whatever, my classes seem to be the lowest. And I'm not sure if it's how it's being so targeted or whatever. And I could put it out there and blast it to people, come, 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 come. And I feel like if it's not sexy or something, I don't know what's happening. But I also think when I'm in certain spaces that is really broad, that if I customize it or if I'm speaking to my culture or different things, like I have to explain what I'm talking about. And I'm not interested in explaining everything. Like, what did you mean by? And I'm like, And then I noticed your book says you have a book called We Be. I'm like, it's okay. Dick Gregory wrote We Be, and he wore a hat that says We Be, and so the verbiage, the language, the everything. Sometimes I feel like it is not respected, and or you have allies or people that says, oh, bring them in just so we can have it there. I'm gonna put you on the shelf and you're cute, and we can say we are all inclusive, and it is like a chicken circuit, and I don't know. So yeah. I hate to go in bookstores. It's just like buying hair grease or oils and things. You have that little corner. So you go into the bookstores instead of just having your books throughout the whole entire bookstore at Barnes and Nobles, whatever. You have a bookshelf. This is, all the Black books. It's like, so I'm it's always locked in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because and eventually I'm gonna start pulling panels together of voices who are like self-published, own their own publishing company, have been published by the Big Five, have been published independently. And Tashala mentioned, like in her interview earlier this year, about the Big Five not wanting her work, and it's and all these things. And it's like, for folks, sorry to speak in like jargon, but the Big Five are the large publishing houses.
Yes.
That, so like Simon and Schuster, Penguin Random House, those.
Yep, Random House, yeah.
Yeah, where they're like, oh, we can only have one of y'all on the shelf. And it's I feel like all methods of publishing have blessings and curses, but it all starts with the written word. And I've inserted, since I started this podcast, questions about genre because, and I think it comes from the canon, where the canon has all of these rules and rules land into genres. And many of my authors, I think almost all of them, but I also think this is just how we do. We say, fuck genre. And it's like, and that's what's so beautiful is that we make our own rules. And then we bring people with us, which, by the way, I want to shout out, which I will be, I'm going to an event at this bookstore coming up soon. But this is in our backyard, Olive Tree Books and Voices.
Olive Tree in Springfield, yes. You know what I was going to say? I want to pop in there. So shout out to Olive Tree. I wanted to say, you know, we tend to, I like to tell people to stretch yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're an artist, if you like music, like I always think about Prince. He didn't just play one instrument, or he didn't just listen to one thing, you know, certain music. We spoke about Atwood. People like, who's Atwood?
Yes, Margaret Atwood. Yes.
You know, like, you know, and I'm like, I'm sorry, she's amazing, you know. And so I think not so much of being faithful to just the culture so much so that we don't expand. You know, I'm loyal to my culture. I'm loyal to me. I'm blackity black, black, black. However, you know, I got a bunch of blackie poems too. But I have to say that how many hair books are we going to have? Like, you know, so we don't want to get into the space of like have 2.72 million hair books, right? Or 2.72 books that says I'm a queen. And I noticed that even our clothes, we're starting to be pigeonholed in our clothes. When Black Panther, that movie came out, we have to ask ourselves, why was we so excited? Was it because it was a superhero movie? Like, how many killer pictures, how many black killers are there out there? Like, we might have some. You done got yourself the mud. Like, I mean, you might see, you know, like we like, I'm not killing anybody. But my church won't like that. Like we don't separate ourselves sometimes enough from ourselves to write the story. Like one of my favorite authors of all time is Sister Souljah. I love Sister Souljah. She bring you to China and Japan. She bring you to, you know, to Arab countries. She bring you everywhere. She just bring you all over the world. But staying true to her voice and everything and embracing and celebrating. That's me. I love, yes. But I think I don't like the traditional publishing for the fact that I don't want someone to tell me I can't come to the table because, well, you know, we only need one. That is like everybody was like, "Ooh, do you like Michael Jackson? Do you like Prince? Do you like Tyra Banks? Or do you like you know, you had to pick. You like Malcolm or Martin? Like you better, you know, like Malcolm X will be 100 years old on the 19th. Right?
Oh, that's right.
This is his centennial year. Like Hartford's Lit, my whole company, we're doing a whole thing, you know, on the 18th, right? And what I'm as a poet, you know, people, you know, throwing poems around about Malcolm X. I had the opportunity to meet his daughter a couple times, Ilyasa Shabazz, and writing poetry about Malcolm. People like, well, I'm such and such, so I'm for Martin. I'm like, why are we choosing? You're acting like the publisher who said we only could put one book on a shelf. And so there's enough sunshine for everybody. And I just feel like we need to stop that. We need to stop that because other people are using it and we don't like it and we do the same thing, you know. So,
which, by the way, I still to this day believe that Denzel Washington should have won an Oscar for when he played Malcolm X. But that's a whole other discussion.
He should wear everything he put his finger on. Look, that's my husband. I don't care how old he get. He's my husband forever, ever. I love
you gonna have thousands of sister wives. I'm just telling you.
Listen, I'll have some sister wives. It's in the religion, so yes, his walk is fire.
Yes.
But yes, but so as far as the things I wanted to mention was happening in my writer's life right now, I'm excited that I am going to have Enfield is going to have a poetry festival. It is April 26th. So poets or community organizations, nonprofits, businesses, mama in the backyard that, quilting, blankets or whatever, whoever, is a community affair of networking and building community around poetry. And so we are collecting canned goods. So we will support the food show. So it's acting like an outreach, to figure out who's who. I will be there reading some poetry. There will be Barbara McLean that you mentioned. She will be there reading as well. Yeah, she got some poems too. So don't let her fool you. So yes, thank you. Yes. So I'm excited about that. And I also have a jazz poetry anthology coming out. Let me tell you how crazy I got. I don't play the flute. I don't play the trumpet. I don't play the saxophone. But I bought these instruments. I hung them on the walls in my house with the idea that someone is going to come and play these instruments. They're going to say, "Oh, I play." I'm saying, "Oh yeah, okay, play." And I'm going to read my book, and I'm in. So that's Alice. She will welcome. I own like 900 typewriters, and I hang them on the wall and all through my house. And so what happens? That's part of my writing space. Is my aesthetics. I have to create the space sometimes, and that's my advice. Anybody want to write, or you want to create worlds for yourself? Get into creating your worlds. But so yes, so jazz poetry. A jazz poetry anthology is coming out soon. It's still in the work. You know how putting together books, you're an editor. Mm-hmm. Wow. We will have a date and we go, I don't know about that date. But, life happens. And I also will be launching a writers poetry club that's launching April 21st. So like April is like booming with a lot for me right now. Heavy.
Yeah, which speaking of, before I ask my last question, because we're almost at time, what is there and the reason why I'm asking this is because there's 1,001 events happening in this region on Saturday, April 26th. I'm a part of 2 of them that day. Is that a National Poetry Day or something? Because a lot of places are holding events that day.
It's I don't know, but I know October 19th is National Black Poetry Day.
Oh, wait, let me write that down. Because I did not know that. Yes. I'm literally writing it down now.
So, and I just see April as Poetry Month. But yes, April 26th seemed to be very popular this year. I'm like, everybody is doing something April 26th. But that's okay, because April 26th, they are going to come to my poetry festival.
Yes.
Yes, here at Enfield. Well, you had your last question. Was that the question about the poetry being that day, or you had a
the last question that I was going to ask you, which you kind of started answering it already? What is next for you, and how can the Black Writers Read community support you on this journey? See, you already jumped.
Yes. So. Oh, okay. So yes, yes, you are. Listen, it is an honor to be here on the Black Writers Read platform. Thank you very much having me on this show and allowing me to share my voice, share my perspective, my work, that is supporting. I would love for you to come back to my television show. as well, because we
That
have a
would be
lot to talk
awesome.
about. I think we are great. We are great together. I feel like I came unprepared. Like I came with water, and you have coffee, so I feel like I didn't get the memo. But yes, I would say if you can share what I have coming up next, I will share some poetry. Tishala has said, I need you to do some Arabic. I need you to do a poem, and you need to mix your Arabic into a poem for Malcolm X. So if people come, and that is at the Harriet Beecher Stowe. So that's a historical place at the Harriet Beecher Stowe in Hartford. And that is going to be on May 18th, and that is from 3 o'clock. And so we're gonna have light refreshment. It is called a slice of Malcolm's cake, and brothers be heard. So poets, and I will be there again. So that's part of my next event, as well as just look out. Just look out for me. Follow me on Instagram. I see my thing keep blinging up here and stuff. Share and share and sharing, and yeah. One thing about being out there is getting your name out there. I think I'm all over the place. I don't know if my name need to be out there.
Yes,
anymore.
Like I said, Nzima, I legit, and like I'm gonna start ticking the times that I see all that you're doing. I legit in like 1.5 days saw 7 different events that you.
I know. I slid in, and people think that I just wear the same clothes, right? It was because I was at one part of the day I was at Mount Holyoke College doing a presentation of poetry. Then I was I was in Middletown, and then I was in Broadbrook yesterday with Peggy Deach Shea, the and the East Windsor Poet Laureates, and we was at a museum at the Agnostic Gallery doing our thing, and yeah.
And I love how, not to put, your personal stuff on Facebook, I saw pictures that you had an opportunity to celebrate Eid. And I'm like, how did you do how did she do all of this? I was just like, I can't.
I know, without water and food. I
was like, oh my God.
Yes, my primary job right now is to live out my literary art life. Like, I would like to pay my light bill with my literary art.
Yes.
I would like to help my sister heal with my literary art. I like to build my name, so when I'm all gone and dead and butterflied out this world, that my literary art will be what I leave as my legacy behind. And that's what I want to do. And so I've been really putting myself in that space. So if it's helping, editing, coaching, writing, formatting other people for their book, or if it's just, writing mermaid stories, my heart stories, painful stories, or facilitating workshops and trauma places like Wheeler Clinic, Toivo Holistic Wellness Centers, and things like that. I'm still, it's not all about the payment, but yes, I have to keep my lights on. But it's about living and surviving and thriving and just having fun. I mean, I want my red Ferrari now.
Yes.
And I find time to watch Handmaid's Tales. I'm sorry, but I'm like, where are we? I don't have Hulu right now. I'm gonna have to get back Hulu just to watch it.
Okay. I hope y'all are listening to this FCC. I can hook you up because we got some Hulu.
Okay.
We got some Hulu, and I can share some Hulu, especially given every couple of months Hulu goes up. I'm like, if I get one more, Hulu is increasing. I was like, I remember when Hulu was $9.99. Now I'm paying like $30. I'm like, why?
Yes, I have this thing called Catch On, and that's everything. And once in a while, all the movies like HBO, Showtime, all the channel Catch On is a thing. But yes, Hulu, I need to listen. Y'all gonna have to find me just to let y'all know, I will be breathing, and I will have my snacks. I will be glued, and they made me wait like a couple years. Like season 5 ended a couple years ago. So, what season are you on? Look at us. We done left the literary.
Yes, but I mean, it's
writers.
still literary though. We are on season 5. My husband right now, who is in the other room watching it, might be on episode like 5 by this point.
He's fired.
Right. So I'm just like, but I'll eventually catch up. The show is so good, but it's just so like I've had to walk out of the room because I was crying. It's
because
just
it's
like,
such a disbelief, right?
whoa.
Like who? And you want to know how you think like that?
That was my thing. And then that was my thing. I'm just like I would and Margaret Atwood is of age, so I hope to meet her at some point. But I just want to ask her, how did you conjure this world? Because I'm just like, even when Octavia Butler, I'm like, where did your brains have to go to be able to write worlds like this? I'm like,
well, let me tell you, sometimes you have to leave this world. So that's why I like to bring women on retreat, but I like to be invited to other retreats. You have to leave this world. You have to go somewhere. You have to leave and sit in this world. So you sit there and you be people watchers, and then you have to literally go somewhere, like unplug everything. Just have all your writing tools, your toolboxes, and just go for it. I love longhand writing. Like, I mean, I will text myself something in a minute if I'm in front. I love longhand writing. It's something about, connecting the arm and everything together, just spilled differently on the pages. But I think just going somewhere, if you just have to go somewhere for like 2 weeks, if you can, and just go for it, and just imagining like stuff. I was watching Halle Berry the other day. I'm like, who wrote this? Like, Let It Go or something, Don't Let Go or something, like, just a little. And I was like, is this a play on mental illness? Is this a play on, it was wild. But that's in poetry, like there's speculative fiction poetry. Yes. And I'm that person like, oh, okay, I want to participate. I want to, I don't know if people will like me on open mic or I'm not a slam poet, but I'm the poet laureate. So I'm gonna say I got something going on.
yes.
I like to write in spaces that's the metaphors is, heavy, and the world is like, with somebody say, who wrote this? Like who would think of the worlds that, like this that we talking about like this? But what I have to say, there wasn't a lot of brown people in that world.
Yeah.
Maybe they was washing the dishes, she was brown. It was you started to see them. You did see them, but I was like, wow. And even in the apocalypse and then, in certain movies, we're just not there. That's why we have to write our story so we can be there.
Wow. No, that's a really, now it's making me go, I want to start watching some stuff that's actually the apocalypse and seeing where we show up and how we show up. That's so interesting.
Yeah, how we show up. Yep. But the baby
Oh,
girl is brown. The little girl, the daughter is brown. Her husband is
that's
brown.
right.
But she's the main character, and she's growing up.
Yep, Hannah. Yep, that's right.
Hannah.
Wow. Which I need spoilers so bad, but I'm gonna wait and just watch. Because there was the last episode I watched, Hannah was in, I hope I'm not spoiling this for folks who are watching.
They should be, look, you should have been caught up by now. I'm sorry.
Right. Yes. Hannah transitioned from wearing pink to purple. And Joan is like, and this is after like the stage funeral or whatever for the commander. And she's like, why is she in that color? And I'm like, what do we learn eventually what the color purple stands for? Because of course we have the handmaids, they wear red, the wives wear blue, the kids wear pink, but why was she in purple?
Ooh, I got that. You know what? Now you're gonna have me all freaked out. Listen, I gotta go back. See, I claim to. Yes, I gotta. Yes, because she's wearing purple. I'm trying to think. Well, we know that she's not in the mines.
Yeah,
that's a good thing. She's not a maid. That's not a maid. She's will she be a wife?
Wife is Blue, but I felt
Life is Blue, but isn't that like kind of wow?
yeah, purple is a nice middle ground between
Young
pink and
Wife,
blue.
yeah,
Yes, I wonder if she
red and blue
ooh.
make purple. Oh my God, there's so many symbolism. Okay, oh my gosh, it's over. Anybody, if you look for me, it's all
Yes.
Nicole's fault for having me on the show.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to tip my hat to Margaret Atwood
Yes.
for the
And
book because
anybody who decides to stretch it, you cannot deny any writing
yeah,
like that. You cannot deny,
yeah.
I don't care what color you are or whatever, but let me tell you this, Black writers read, do you have any book clubs? Do you offer?
So that's the next thing. So what had happened was I did one, and so this is a call out, especially to my Connecticut neighbors. So I
Okay.
have a lot of connections in Western Massachusetts, and I've done a lot of. I want to do stuff in Connecticut. Like I would love to do a book club in Connecticut. So which Hartford's lit. I was supposed to be at your event in September. I ended up getting sick. I would love to do more in-person book clubs. Like we did one around the author Crystal Center Brown, who we had on a couple of months ago. And there's some books like I want to read Tia Williams's book, A Song
Okay.
for Ricky Wilde. I actually had a book club planned for that book the week of the election. And I was like, I know
Mm.
what's going to happen. Let me plan something happy. And then the outcome was worse than what I thought. And I was like, I don't know if I can hold space for people right now. So I ended up
Yeah.
canceling the book club. But yeah, I would love to do, yeah.
But you know what? I can imagine, definitely hook up with Hartford's Lit.
Yeah.
We are, we do Hartford Reads in Color, but we're looking to branch back into Hartford's Lit Book Chat where we would do it in person. We would have all little pastries and treats and things. And here at Enfield, my neighbor here as well, Ujima African American Alliance, we have a book club as well. Right now, our book that we're doing with Hartford's Lit is Malcolm Speak. And so it is a book of all of his speeches.
Wow.
His perspective behind it, the backdrop, the foreground, and all of that good, yummy stuff. So, yes, Malcolm Speak in the book. Like I have like a really, 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 really old book. I mean, to the point where you open it and the pages
Falling out.
falling out. They like if you touch it's like confetti. And I'm like, oh my
Yes.
gosh. So I have like, like a book stand. And so I have the newer book, and the newer book has pictures, and oh my gosh, Malcolm Speaks. And so we're doing that actually the same day we're having our Malcolm X event, which is on the 18th, the day before his birthday, at the Stowe Center. And so we will read the book, finish the book by 2:30, and then we will have the Brothers Be Heard opportunity for people to share the impact of his literary work. Matter of fact, and the anthology, what is it called? What's that anthology? How many years of poetry? Something 400 or 500 years of poetry.
Yes, I think I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Or something. And there's a poem that he have in there. Yes, Malcolm X.
He wrote poetry?
We have a poem in there. I was like, Malcolm X. Yes. But yes, we have
Wow.
a poem. And so we would love, so his perspective on a lot of things, when you read about him, that's how you really love him. That's when you really realize how he was moving in an international space, and that's
Yeah.
what really took him out. But yes,
Yeah.
so that's the next book we're reading. So I would love for you to do something. I could feel it, because just having this
Yeah.
conversation with you just have a plethora. You have a plethora, a large vocabulary of books.
I drive my students crazy because I teach English composition and I teach critical thinking, and I drive my students, like, especially like I one day want somebody to film me going on one of my rants on a book. Like I just because like I lose my students look at me and I'm like, oops, 20 minutes. Like I'm like, this is supposed to be a discussion-based class. I am sorry, I discussed y'all with all this talking I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I have all what's funny, and then we'll definitely wrap up. I have always loved reading. Like I remember when my parents were still alive, they would tell me stories I started reading at like 2. I started reading at 2 years old, and I'm like, what? And they were like, you would read everything. I did my earliest memory is being at my maternal grandmother's house and like sitting and reading the cereal box as I was eating.
That was a jam.
Yes, I've always loved reading, and it's one of the 2 things that my parents instilled, and I grew up in a very Black home, instilled in me very young. They were like, 2 of the things that your ancestors did not have an opportunity to do, we're going to make sure you have it, reading and voting. Those were the 2, because they were like, your voice is enacted in very unique ways in those 2 moments. And so I, not only about writing, but if I could find a life where I'm talking about reading and writing, I would be so happy.
Yes, yes. Listen, and that's why I love facilitating workshops, because you have the opportunity to say, let's read this here. We're going to use this reading as the prompt.
Yeah.
Okay. And then people sit, they chew on it, and they let it burn a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I read it again, because I tell people, it just land on you here. Now it's landing inside,
Yes.
And then, boom, let's write.
Yes.
Let's be analytical. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
And now we didn't have like a mini book chat and a writing, writing class or whatever you're going to call it, and have feelings.
Which, by the way, folks who are watching, there were a lot of, I was taking notes of a lot of things that we were talking about. I will be offering some writing prompts from this conversation on social media, because there were so many. See, this is the educator in you. So many like opportunities for writing prompts and for us to think deeper about things came out of this conversation. So thank you.
Okay, great. Hey, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate what you're doing. And I, if you journey onto retreats or journey into some cohorts of reading, writing, whatever, take me with you. I'm looking to go to the Zora Neale Hurston house. Yes, I went to New York, and I had an opportunity to go to the conference, and now they have, we can stay at the house, and people have retreats and things. And yes, so they have the Zora Neale Hurston house group of people, and they have like, for writers to want to do their thing. Yes. So I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there for all of us that love.
And she went to, that's right, y'all. And she also went to Cuba last year too. I'm putting that out there too.
Yes. Oh, yes. When women speak, Amira Shabazz. Do you know Amira?
You talked to me about her before.
Yes. I love her. When women speak, she's an amazing. I had an opportunity to facilitate some writing workshops in Cuba and to perform in Cuba with the locals, and share my magazine. And because this was my second time going, I was able to capture some of my experiences and publish it in my LAWR magazine, and give the magazine to some of the locals. And the locals was like, and some of the writing was translated, some of it wasn't, but they were just so happy because they could see the pictures of themselves inside the book. And so it was amazing. Cuba is rich in culture and art. Beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah, so thank you. And keep doing what you're doing. I'll look out for Black Writers Read, and the podcast, and the book chat, and all of this stuff that I can see you doing. So
thank you, Nzima, and thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for writing, and thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself in the community, because this is what we need. We need like the writers who breathe, and then the writers who share, and then the writers who breathe, work into the community. And you're a writer who really sets a standard. So I hope that other people look to you in terms of, if I want to do this, how do I do it? And be like, Nzima.
Yes. Just right.
Just right.
Just right.
Yes.
Get it out. And we work with it after that.
Yes.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
You.
So thank you so much for joining us for episode 20 of season 5 of Black Writers Read. Dang, that was such an amazing conversation. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Black Writers Read, as I'll be announcing our upcoming guests for the month of April via that platform. Support Black Writers Read by subscribing to my YouTube channel, where many of you are joining us from today, or the audio podcast, which is available wherever you get your catalog of podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Also, while you are on those platforms, drop a review, as the review and subscribing helps people to find me. It helps people to find me, and it helps to grow my platform. So visit Black Writers Read, also blackwritersread.com, to learn more about the podcast. And thank you all for joining us this evening, and more importantly, for ensuring that Black authors continue to matter. I will see you soon.